How did we create this formula? We contacted expert linguistics professionals from universities and asked them questions about pronunciation, fluency, vocabulary. And we got all that data and we compiled it into this fluency formula. But why did we do it? We noticed that a lot of students do not become fluent because they waste their time trying to learn things they'll never use. So this fluency formula, like I said, there's no magic pill, but this formula is going to help you become fluent faster because it's going to show you how and where you should focus your energies on using this formula. Enjoy. All right, so let's jump right in without wasting any time. For us to understand the fluency formula, we need to understand how formulas work in general. Most of you know, but to do that, let's see a brief example. If you're going to decide if you're going to buy a jacket or not, what do? What's the value? Well, it's the cost over the benefit. And if it costs more than the benefit, then you're not going to buy the jacket, right? Even if this jacket costs $300, if the benefit feels more than the cost, then you will buy it, right? And the benefit includes many things. It includes when you will use it. Are you using it tomorrow? Then that's something urgent, high benefit. Is it something that you can use anywhere? That's high benefit because you're not going to use it just in one place. Remember, this applies to fluency and to where you will focus your energies on. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to put this rule with fluency. And it's a little more complicated. It's a formula, but if you stay till the end, you're going to understand it and you're going to get fluent much faster. So here we have learning. The formula will determine if you should waste your time learning something or not. You know, if you should invest your time learning or not. With the jacket, we're trying to see if we should buy it or not. With the fluency formula, we're trying to decide if we should learn it or not. And the cost is not going to be how much it costs. It's going to be how complicated it is. So if it's too complicated and there's no benefit, right? There's no benefit for you, then it's not going to be worth it at the end, right? So that's the comparison. If it's too complicated, all this grammar is important, but there's some grammar that's not important, that you're never going to use. If it's too complicated and it doesn't benefit you, then you shouldn't learn it. But there's a lot more to it. And for us to understand this, I'm going to show you a few examples, because for the benefit, it can be many things. It can be how immediately can you use it? And that's important, because the faster you can use it, the less complicated it is, and the more confidence you'll have. Because if something is too complicated, you're going to feel like, and you're going to feel like giving up. What's the next one? Frequent. How frequent is something? Is it something that you're going to use a lot? Or is it something that you're only going to use once? And remember, this is about grammar. This is about idioms. This is about phrasal verbs. This is about rules. How frequent will you use it? Next one is, how adaptable is it? Is this grammar, or is this phrasal verb, or is this pronunciation tip something that you can only use in a specific situation, like at work? Or is it something that you can also use in informal situations? The more adaptable it is, the higher the benefit, right? And the next one is the human element. I'm going to make another video on the human element, but to make things simple, this is how human does this help you sound. That's what that is, right? So let's look at the phrasal verbs. And let's use the formula on phrasal verbs to see if it's something we should learn or if it's something we shouldn't focus our attention on, right? So for phrasal verbs, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do from 1 to 5. We're gonna give each thing a point, right? It's gonna be 1, it's gonna be 2, it's gonna be 3, or it's gonna be 4 or 5, depending on the way we see it, right? If everything gets a 5, for example, then it's something we know we should learn. Like, wow, everything got a 5 from 1 to 5. We should learn it because everything got a 5. But if everything gets, for example, a 1, right? No, it's a 1. This is 1 point. This is 1 point. No, then maybe we shouldn't learn it. That's the idea, right? And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how you can use this for yourself. So how immediate can you use a phrasal verb? Well, most phrasal verbs are not that complicated if you think about it, if you learn it right, if you have a coach guiding you, right? So it's something you can learn, you can use immediately, right? You know, for example, put out, which means to turn off, but with the fire. Put out the fire. Something, if you learn it, you can use it right there, right away. Put out the fire, right? How frequent? Very frequent. Phrasal verbs are about 30% of our conversations. So chances are you will see phrasal verbs everywhere. So this gets a 5. 5 points. 5 points for immediate 2. How adaptable are phrasal verbs? Very adaptable. Phrasal verbs are very adaptable because they can be used in business English and also in informal situations. So this also gets a 5. And phrasal verbs, all phrasal verbs get a 5 for human because they help you sound more human, not like a robot. It helps you connect with other people more, right? And we'll talk about what human means in another video, but that's how much emphasis you're showing, etc., right? Okay, so should we learn phrasal verbs? Well, from 1 to 20 points, it got a 20, right? Because if you add 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, that's 20 points. Should we learn it? Yes. It's something you should learn immediately. It should be a big focus for you. Remember, the point of this formula, my students, is to determine if you should spend your time learning things. Because the reason people don't get fluent is because they're wasting their time learning things they don't need. So this is a formula that helps you become fluent faster by focusing on what is important for you. Because with phrasal verbs, this is the same for everyone. But when we get specific to other things, like I'll show you in a few moments, it's going to depend on the person. So let's go to the next thing, the IPA, which is the International Phonetic Alphabet. So the IPA is, if you've probably seen a few of these symbols, this is the IPA, right? This is the International Phonetic Alphabet. That is the IPA. Now,
20, 180.
You're probably wondering, should I learn the IPA? Look at all these symbols, right? Look at all these symbols. Is this something I should learn? Okay, many teachers teach it, but you know what? It's complicated. How immediately can you use the IPA? Not immediately, because it takes a while to learn, right? How frequent will you encounter it? Well, it's pronunciation, so maybe you'll encounter it sometimes, but there are easier ways to learn pronunciation without having to memorize all of the symbols. All of these symbols, you don't need to memorize all of these symbols, my students, right? All of this here, you don't need to memorize it. It's not necessary to memorize all of these. There are about 44 symbols. A good teacher will help you to focus on just the symbols you need based on your personal goals and what you need to work on, right? It takes a trained teacher to do that. How adaptable is it? No, it's not adaptable because it's not something you're going to use all the time. And how about human? We'll give it a 2 out of 5 because pronunciation is important. But learning the entire International Phonetic Alphabet, no. We see this here because why? From 1 out of 20 points, it gets to 6. Right? We add 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2, that's 6. Is this something you want to learn right now? No, not at the moment. You only need to focus on what you need. Now, let's go to applying this formula to a specific idiom. And we're going to put it in the context. Remember, everyone's different. So this formula, when you're talking about specific things like specific phrasal verbs, specific idioms, then it's going to be different for each person. If we're talking about someone who doesn't work in an office, someone who doesn't go to business meetings, someone who just, maybe has their own coffee company, but they don't have a lot of meetings. Let's see it through their eyes and see how important this idiom, back to the drawing board, is to them. By the way, this idiom means to do something, to start from the beginning because the plan didn't work. So let's say there's a company, they have a project, and they try to do the project, but it came out terrible. It didn't work for them, right? They're going to say, let's go back to the drawing board. So imagine everyone going back to the drawing board, una pizarra, and let's start all over again, right? Oh, we have to go back to the drawing board. Man, okay. For someone who is not in business, how immediate can they use this? Well, not tomorrow. They can't because they don't work in an office. So for them personally, it's not something immediate. It's not something they can use right away, right? And remember, the reason this is important is because the faster you can use something, the less complicated it is, and the more confidence you'll have in yourself because you can use it right away. You're using the language. Whereas something that's very complicated, you can't use it too quickly, and it's gonna not give you the confidence boost that you need. How frequent will this person use this idiom? Not too frequent, because they don't work in an office setting. So it's not something that will be frequent for them. How adaptable is it? It's a 2, because it's usually only for business English, but a lot of business English professionals, I know one who uses idioms in any situation. But even the business idioms, they use it in informal situations. I've seen that happen. So we'll give it a 2, right? Not a 5. And then human gets a 5 because all idioms get 5 for human elements. Phrasal verbs and idioms get a 5 because this helps you sound more human. It helps you connect more with people, right? So from 1 to 20 points, it gets a 9. Should this person learn it? Not right now, no, because it's only a 9 out of 20. It's not tampoco es un 3 o un 6, but there are other idioms they should focus their energies on, right? Next one, right? What if it was for someone, you see how it changed the numbers? Right? Immediate is 1, frequent is 1, adapt is 2, human is 5. Now, this is going to be for someone now who is a business person, who does work in an office. Back to the drawing board. How immediately can they use it? They can use it right away because they work in a business setting. How frequent will they use it? Well, maybe not a 5, but it'll be pretty frequent because, there's lots of projects. There's going to be failures in these projects. They're going to use it frequently, but not like a 5. How adaptable? It gets a 2. How human? It gets a 5. For someone who works in the business office, 15 points. Should they learn it? Yes. They should learn this idiom. Absolutely. Right? So let's go now to a more general idiom. A more general idiom that you can use in any situation. Right? So how immediately can you use this idiom? 5. Something you can use right away. Right? Maybe you want to... Remember, another thing you need to do is put yourself in positions where you can use idioms that you just learned. So let's say you learned the idiom spill the beans, which means to reveal a secret, right? This means to reveal a secret. Oh, there was a party, a surprise party, but Richard, he spilled the beans. He revealed the secret. He told the person that the party was for that there's a party. He spilled the beans. He revealed the secret. Okay. So put yourself in positions where you can use the idioms. Maybe tell a story to your friend. Hey, let me tell you the story about a time where I spilled the beans. So this is something you can immediately use, all right? No matter if you work in business or not. How frequent can they use it? Well, for frequently, It's a 3 because people aren't always spilling beans. People aren't always revealing secrets, right? It's not that common to hear it, but it is popular, right? So it gets a 3. How adaptable? 5. This can be used in business settings, professional settings. You can use this idiom at work, in the house, and it sounds okay to use anywhere you want, right? In fact, most idioms can be used in business settings. How human? It's an idiom, so it gets a 5. And if we add everything up, that's an 18. 18 points. Should the person learn this idiom? Absolutely. Now you're probably wondering, teacher, but do I have to create a formula every single time? I'm showing you this, my students, because this is what we do for our students. This formula is a simple version of the real long formula. We have a very long formula that we've designed that we include when we create the personalized fluency roadmap for our private students. And this is something they get at the end of their course. Because after their course, what's going to happen? They're by themselves? No, they have material, YouTube videos, podcasts, movie scenes, articles they can read with tasks. And this is important because now, since after they take our course, we know exactly what they need, we can create a fluency map for them using this formula. So how can you use this formula? Well, down below, I included a link to a document that has a simplified version of this formula that you can put into your ChatGPT curriculum and then give it to ChatGPT and tell it to use this formula to create material for you, right? Of course, in our course, our students get great feedback because why? Well, because we know exactly what they need to work on. They have a vocab tracker to track their exact progress. This means that they don't need to worry about, oh, did I learn correctly? Was I able to learn the vocab I needed? No, everything is organized for them so that they can see how they can learn, right? So they have a vocab tracker, they have a speech analyzer, it's a button they can click that shows them their most common mistakes, right? If you say, yesterday I did a mistake, that's wrong. You should have said, I made a mistake. So they have artificial intelligence and they have a human to help them. We also have access to a private platform where they can ask any question they want. They get 5 classes per week with trained natives, live classes. And so they get feedback, business English, regular English. It's the whole package, my students. If you're interested in working with us, and if you're tired of the traditional method, then schedule a demo call with me down below, and I'll see if you qualify, and I'll see if you can work with us, and that way we can help you to reach your fluency goals, my students. I hope you enjoyed this formula. That's all for now, and I'll see you next time.